Hi everyone, welcome back to the Digital Talk brought to you by the Career Development Unit. Today we still have Najwa and also Hanie with us. So today we will be covering the topic of designing your own personal branding. So we have covered 2 episodes before, so we hope that you enjoy the YouTube channel. And then I think we will proceed with this next topic. Najwa, shall we begin?
Yes. Hi, Hanie.
Hi, morning, Najwa.
Okay. Hope all of you are okay today.
Yes, I'm okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So today our session, the title of our session is Designing Your Personal Brand. So my first question would be, what does design your personal brand means? The meaning of it.
Okay. Good first question, Najwa. A lot of people ask me. So, what does design your personal brand means? How do you design it? So, designing your personal brand means designing what you want others to remember you for. Remember in our very first session, we talked about brand recall. Remember, we looked at several logos of famous brands that contains the brands of a certain sportswear, that delicious pizza, the coffee brand, and the famous burgers with the golden arches. Yeah, so all these brands evokes a certain images, feelings, emotions, and these logos, or rather this brand, they were designed in such a way that it invokes some of these things. And that's what designing the brand means. But coming back to you as a person, designing your personal brand means putting out what you want others to remember you for. So that's it.
Yeah. So basically it is how others will remind you for.
Yes, that's right. So gotta be careful over what you're putting out there.
Okay.
Thank you, Hanie.
You're
We're going to
welcome.
move to the next question.
Sure.
Okay, Hanie, I have this question. Okay, how should the fresh grad first identify what they need actually to design their personal branding or their personal brand?
Okay. All right. So if we recall in our second session on creating the foundation of you, we spoke about 5 steps. Okay, so we spoke about 5 steps. Let me try to recap those 5 steps. Number 1, what's your superpowers? Yeah, so what's your superpowers? What are your abilities, competencies, skills, passion, and interests? So what are your superpowers? Number 1. Number 2, we also talk about discovering your core values and setting your moral compass. Yeah, so that's number 2. Number 3, how do you want to be perceived by others? Yeah, so that's number 3. Number 4, decide on your audience or target market. So in this case, for fresh grads, it might be the potential employers. Yeah. And number 5, very, very important, prepare your pitch. Okay, so those are just recapping 5 steps from the creating the foundation of you. So it will, come back to your question: what do they need? What do they need to design for their personal brand?
Okay.
Have any question on that?
Okay, maybe Hanie, you can actually expand on. I mean, you can actually expand on the 5 tips that you have given to us. So maybe you can expand more in terms of example how actually the student can do it.
Sure. So based on the foundation of these 5, I think it is fair for me to expand more on this. Yeah. So here's the thing. One of the challenges in designing this personal brand, is where do I start? Where do I start? What do I do? How do I do this? And it may sound a little bit intimidating because it sounds so different, something that we've never done before. So let's start designing, right? Now, what I want to share is these 5 tips. Okay, so golden tip number 1, Doreen, is to find your voice. What does it mean by finding your voice? When you first start designing your personal brand, it may not be as ideal or perfect or as what you think it looks like. But you know what? It's okay. It's a work in progress. We should always approach it from the work in progress when we start designing one. But the most important part is you just need to do it first. You know, you need to do it first. So that's golden tips number 1, finding your voice. Tips number 2, and this is golden tips number 2, is tell your story. Yeah, tell your story. As a fresh grad, you have a lot of stories to tell. Now, storytelling has been used by human beings since Stone Age. You know, people draw, they doodle, or they narrate their hunting stories through bonfire. They sit around this big bonfire and they start telling stories. But nowadays, how do we share our stories? We use LinkedIn, for example. You know, all of us have LinkedIn. Many of us have Facebook, for example. Yeah, the younger ones might have Instagram, for example. Yeah, or they start creating content through YouTube. These are our medium to share our stories. And the storytelling needs to be designed in such a way that it connects with your audience. You know, the story that you have must be meaningful, so that when you start doing your storytelling, it must be connected to those who are listening to that story. Yeah, so that's golden tips number 2. Yeah. So here's the third one. I think this is very crucial as well. Remember when I said that this is always work in progress? Now, the tips number 3, be ready to fail. You know, I read somewhere about Walt Disney, when he started his business many years ago. He kept on failing, and one day he said, he said, and I quote this: I think it's important to have a good heart failure when you're young. I learned a lot out of that, he said, because it makes you kind of aware what can happen to you. So be ready to fail. As you design your personal brand, there will be bound times where you will fail because it didn't go your way. Yeah. But finally, you will develop your voice. You will find your voice. You will find that true passion, and you will tune your storytelling. After trial and error, you just have to do
Hanie,
it.
do you mind if I jump in?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So when you say be ready to fail, right? So in this case, in designing your personal brand, so what are the worst case scenario are you to fail? Is it like when you share something on LinkedIn, someone critiques you, or you know, what are the worst case scenario?
Okay, worst case scenario is people don't remember you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it does. Worst case scenario is people don't remember you. Yeah, because the first idea of designing your personal brand is so that you have a brand recall. People remember you. So the opposite of people remembering you is people don't remember you. or they remember you, or and this is through my personal experience, people remember you for all the wrong things that you've said.
Mm. Agree.
So that is the reason why the one of the tips that I've given way earlier is that you need to find your moral compass first. What is it? So that you be guided by this. Don't go off tangent. Yeah. So, yep, you will have to learn how to fail and keep on fine tuning. Oh, good question, Najwa. I like that.
Okay. Thank you for the answers. I think we're gonna continue with tips number 4, right?
Yep. Okay, so personal brand. Golden tips number 4, and this is also very crucial. We have to let others vouch for your brand. Okay, so so in our past session, we talked about consistency. Yeah, this will help others to remember you for what you are, what you put out there. And remember, once you have identified your superpowers and you design your storytelling and you found your platform and you put it out there, people will automatically remember you. Remember the brand recall? Now, there are a few things how we can do this. Now, if you're on LinkedIn, for example, there is a button where you can request for recommendation. And this recommendation could come from friends, your network, whom that you've worked before. So for fresh grads, very important that during your study years, you get involved. Say, for example, volunteerism, those little projects during your off days, yeah, or even in clubs. Get your colleagues to vouch for the work that you've done. Talk to your lecturers, talk to your team members to give you recommendation for all the work that you've done together. This way, people will vouch for all the values, for all the superpowers that you have. Request nice. But remember, in order to receive, we must be willing to give as well. So recommendations work both ways. We cannot just keep on asking and asking. We must be able to provide good recommendation as well. Yeah. So let others vouch for your brand by providing this recommendation. Yeah, does it make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now the last one, golden tips number 5. Got to live your brand, online and offline. Be authentic. Remember in session 2, we spoke, again, I reiterate this, we spoke about moral compass and core values. Live to this, live to this. If you have chosen, for example, one of your core values as reliable, live this by demonstrating it through your behavior and action. Be reliable so that other people can say, yeah, Ahmad is reliable when we're doing this. When we ran that little project last year, I remember he is a very reliable person, the person to go to, a person that we can trust, for example. So golden tips number 5, Najwa, Doreen, live
Yes.
brand.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Hanie.
You're most welcome.
Before we move to the next question, so
Yeah.
let me just recap the 5 golden tips. First is
Yes.
find your voice. Second
Yep.
is tell a story. Be
Yep.
ready to fail. Let other people vouch for your brand and live your brand, right? That's 5.
Yes.
Okay. So the next question is, why is the designing part of personal brand is important?
Yes.
Why must we have the designing part?
Okay. So imagine this. We're in a car and we want to drive from point A to point B. Now, isn't it great if we can decide how fast we want to go, how, or rather which road that we want to take? What it means is that we're at the driver's seat. We take charge over this journey. Now remember, personal brand will be created with or without you. So even if you're not involved in your personal in designing your personal brand, it will be created because you are within a community. You know, people will see you, talk to you, work with you, experience you. So you have already have a brand. But wouldn't it be nicer if you yourself take charge over this design? Yeah, so you decide. And the personal brand will always be there. It will always be with you. So you better design it yourself. You do have the power to design your own brand and how you want to be perceived by world. It what it takes is to think a little bit more about it, and take into considerations all the tips, all the steps that we have shared in our session 1, 2, and of course through our third session today. So there you go. Very important. Take charge.
Okay, Hani, I have a question. Okay,
Sure, go ahead.
we have already discussed with all the topics, what are the
Yeah.
tips and so on. So now
Yeah.
I think the question for the students are how are they going to maintain in order to design this personal brand in them? How they actually need to maintain, what are the steps that they need to actually follow in order to maintain this designing part of their personal brand?
Sure. Just like any other thing, it's all about maintenance, isn't it? You have a car, you have to maintain. You have a bike, you have to maintain. Even all your clothes, your laptop, your handphone, it's all about maintenance. So nothing is more crucial than maintaining your brand, because it goes with you all throughout your years. From university days to career days to exiting days out of from the job market, or even among the community. So very, very crucial. So addressing your question, what I would like to highlight here are three key areas. How to maintain the design of your personal brand. Number one, again, it's all about consistency. You need to keep on maintaining your brand. Just like a car or your bike, if you don't maintain that, it might break down. There's always wear and tear. And it's just like personal brand. You must be able to maintain it, fine tune it. And number two, that comes to the second step, to the second point on this maintenance, is treat it as work in progress. So right now, for fresh grad, you are at a phase of in university, exploring the world, finding your voice and all that. But after that, you'll be entering the world of work, where you will meet other people. The world just gets bigger. There'll be more people to meet, all kinds of behaviors, and there are other places to explore. Treat it as work in progress. You fine tune this personal brand accordingly to where you are. Yeah. And point number three is fine tune it according to the time as you progress in life. So all of these are all interconnected. Consistency, treat it as work in progress, fine tune it according to all the time that you progress in life. University life, career life, heck, it might be a marriage life, another 5-10 years. I don't know. So just fine tune it, maintain it, fine tune it, keeps on upgrading yourself. I think half of the war is won by doing this, Doreen.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you. Najwa, do you have any question more for Hanie?
No, I don't. Are you? Do you have any?
Not really. So, Hanie, before we wrap up, do you have anything to say for this topic today?
Yeah, I do. And I think this is pretty crucial to raise as well. So remember when we kicked off our session earlier, and the first question was asking what does designing the personal brand means, right? So I just want to recap that because it's I find that I find that answer very relevant, and it needs to be reiterated again and again. Designing the personal brand means designing what you want others to remember you for. So the most important part is to be as authentic as it is online and offline. So being fresh grads, this is the time for you to explore, uh, test it, work in progress, test again, work in progress, test again. Very, very crucial, because this is the foundation. This is the foundation. You got that right, I think you'll do well.
Okay.
So that's, yeah.
Thank you, Hanie.
Thank you, Hanie. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Okay, so I think that is all the time that we have for today. So for IMU students, as usual, if you have any question, please email your question to us. But as Doreen mentioned earlier, please remember to state from which session the question are from, so that actually not you to get confused, because usually we get confused. So make sure you write down from which session the questions are from, and then we'll be more than happy to answer to your question. Apart from that, don't forget to connect with Career Development Unit IMU through our Facebook and our LinkedIn. Last but not least, if you like the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, share the video with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel. Okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.